Story time on how I read my little sister's diary and found her fantasizing about me. Okay, so boom, jumping right in. My little sister and I have a great relationship. I'm her big sister and I protect her from all her bullies and always have her back in any situation. My little sister is 13 and I'm 18, but one thing about my sister is she gon' write in her diary. Literally, she's obsessed with jotting down every single thing that happens in her life. Well, recently, my sister has been acting a bit different. She's just been so distant, and I feel like she's been pushing me away. Me being a worried big sister, I asked her if she's having trouble at school, but she told me she's fine and closed the door on me. So, since she wasn't telling me anything, I waited until she went to volleyball practice and snuck into her room. I took her diary, and I know I shouldn't do it, but I couldn't help it because I really felt like my sister was having trouble at school. But what I found in that diary changed our sister relationship. Changed for the worse. Like for part 2. Part 2 on how I read my little sister's diary and found her fantasizing about me. Okay, so boom, like I said, I snuck into my sister's room, and even though I know I shouldn't, I took her diary and I immediately started reading it. Everything seemed normal at first, talking about her teachers and her friends, but nothing about bullying. And some things here and there about our parents. But when I flipped to the next page, there was a picture of me with the title, My Beautiful Sister. At first, I smiled thinking my sister really loves me. But after I really read through it, I found out my sister really loves me. She wrote about how my skin was so soft and how every time she looks at my lips, she wants to kiss me. She even wrote about how I smell so good and a lot more weird, crazy, too far things. I closed the diary and ran to my room and just freaked out. It all made sense why my sister's been acting so weird. She's been fantasizing about me. Like for part 3. Part 3 on how I read my little sister's diary and found her fantasizing about me. Okay, so boom, like I said, after I found out that my sister was fantasizing about me, I needed a game plan because I felt like that would just be too weird to tell my parents. So what I did was start being mean to my sister, and I kept sneaking into her room to read her diary every day to see if she would stop. And it worked. She stopped after about 4 months. Thank goodness. She started saying things like I can't stand my sister and how I'm spoiled and how I'm full of myself. Oh, but I didn't care. She even started writing about a new boy that she liked in class. And I was even more relieved. Thank goodness. Well, my sister hates me now, but at least she doesn't fantasize about me. Yikes. Story time on how my boyfriend leaked my nudes to my entire school. You heard that right. So I was 15 at the time in the 9th grade and he was 18 in the 12th grade. He was very popular and well known. Even the teachers liked him. And every girl wanted to be with him or get his attention. It was my first year in high school, so I of course fell for that stupid popular guy thing. He was kind of known for being a player and messing with a lot of girls. And yeah, that's a red flag, but we don't see red flags in high school. Well, he seen me in lunch one day and came over to talk to me. All I could do was blush and feel kind of special because here I have the most popular guy in school giving me attention. We started texting and talking on the phone every night. And I even got a little popular myself. Literally only after a month of us talking, one night he asked me to send him a picture. And that's when I make the biggest mistake of my life. Like for part 2. Part 2 on how my boyfriend leaked my nudes to my entire school. So like I said, only after a month of us talking, one night he asked me to send him a picture. Me being innocent-minded, I sent him a picture of me fully clothed. Once he got it, he laughed and said, "No, baby, send me something sexy. Show me what you got underneath." My heart immediately dropped. I knew I shouldn't, but he was the popular guy. How could I say no? I trust him, right? He's probably used to this with other girls. I didn't want him to see me as a loser. I just wanted him to like me. Fuck it, I'll do it. I locked my door and took a picture of everything. Yes, everything. Including my cat with my face in it. I sent it and immediately regretted it. There was just something in me that knew I shouldn't, but I just didn't listen to myself. Well, I was right because the very next day was the worst day of my life. Like part 3 on how my boyfriend leaked my nudes to my entire school. So like I said, even though I didn't want to do it, I did it and sent him the picture. He told me how beautiful I was and how much he couldn't wait to see me tomorrow. Maybe I was wrong. Well, that wasn't the case because literally the next day, not even a week later, the next day, while I was walking to my classes, people would be staring, laughing, snickering. I immediately knew what happened and my friends came and confirmed it. I tried calling and texting him and he wouldn't respond. He was such an asshole. And if I seen him, he would act like he didn't know me. It became so big, my parents got involved. So grateful for my parents and how they had my back. They moved me to another school and pressed charges. He ended up getting in big trouble with the authorities. And all my pictures was taken down on his socials and anywhere they were. And now I'm in my new school with none of that drama. But if you take anything away from this, ladies, don't do it.
Story time about how I scammed my followers out of $20,000. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I repeat, this is not my story time. I started out as an influencer on Instagram a few years ago. A few of my posts went viral, and after a month, I had 1 million followers. Suddenly, I had so many brands reaching out to me. Some of the brands I had never heard of, so I didn't really answer back. But I did start working with some brands that I did know. The only problem was that they would only pay me about $70 to $100 per post. By the way, I had a lot of debt at the time, so only making that much was not working for me. I decided to ask for more money, but some of the brands just wouldn't pay it. So by the end of the first month, I had only made about $500. That was not enough to pay my rent, and I was not about to get a day job. I had 1 million followers on Instagram. I was a glorified influencer. So instead, I started reaching out to some of these brands that I had never heard of before. One of them was offering me $5,000 to post a link on my story for 3 days. Of course, I accepted. Part of me thought that it was a scam, but I didn't care at the time. I needed the money. After 3 days of posting the link, they paid me the $5,000. I was able to pay my rent, my car insurance, and my phone bill. But here's the thing. I started getting a bunch of DMs from my followers who were super angry. They were calling me a scammer and a bunch of other names. So I decided to do some investigating, and I found out that the whole thing was a scam. Part 2 of how I scammed my followers out of $20,000. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. When I started seeing all the angry messages from my followers, I asked them what was wrong. One girl sent me screenshots of all the stuff that she had bought with the link that I posted. She told me that she Googled the company and that it was a scam. So I decided not to reply back to her. I wrote to the company and told them that I was getting a lot of hate messages. But of course, the company ghosted me. I saw 5 other messages and they were all basically saying the same thing. That the website was a total scam and that they had purchased stuff off of it. But here's the thing. For the first time, I had money. So I decided to just ignore it, which I know is a bad thing, but it's also their fault for not doing their research. But I did learn my lesson. After that, I Googled every single company that ever reached out to me. But here's where it gets worse. 2 weeks later, I get another $5,000 check from the same company. But I was so happy. I deposited that check really fast. So here's what I had to do. I blocked every single person who told me that the website was a scam. And then I just tried to forget about it. I also had to delete all the hate comments. And a few weeks after that, I get another $5,000 check. I had $15,000 in the bank. Part 3 of how I scam my followers out of $20,000. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sending me on Instagram. I had made $15,000 from all of the scams, but it didn't stop there. A few weeks later, I got another $5,000 check. So in total, I had $20,000. This was the most money I'd ever had in my life, and I was not about to send it back. But I was still getting a lot of hate on Instagram. I ended up blocking over 500 people. And then finally, the company reached out to me. I told them my followers were saying that they were scamming them, but the company made up some excuse saying that the shipments had been delayed and that my followers would receive all their purchases. Then they offered me another $5,000 to post a different link. And guess what? Of course I accepted. They offered me $7,000 this time. I knew very well that this was probably another scam, but I still accepted. A few days later, I posted the link, but the payment never came. I waited a few weeks before contacting the company, and they ghosted me. I wrote to them every single day, but I never got the $7,000. So guess what? I also got scammed too. It's been 2 years since that happened, and I don't feel bad about it. I now make a lot more money than $20,000, but we all start somewhere. Part of me does feel guilty for scamming everyone, so sometimes I think about possibly paying them back. And don't start trying to guess in the comments who I am. You will never guess. Or maybe you will. Whatever, I'm $20,000 richer. Bye.